we will be factoring x squared plus 14x minus 15 using the box method of factoring. So remember to check if there isn't a greatest common factor to pull out. And in this case, x squared plus 14x minus 15 does not have a greatest common factor to pull out. So the first thing we will do then is write the first term here, x squared, in our first box. And then we will write our third term in the very last box. So here's my minus 15. Now remember that you should multiply the coefficients of the two boxes. So 1 times negative 15 is negative 15 here. Now we want the factors of 15, and we won't worry about positives or negatives for a minute, just the factors of 15. So we'll list them all out. We have 1 times 15, and we have 3 times 5. So these are the only possible combinations that will give us 15. Now, we want the combination that will add up or subtract in some way to give us this value right here, which is a positive 14. So the only possible combination that could somehow work to give us 14 is 1 and 15 here. So because we're dealing with a negative, we're going to have to subtract here. So now let's think about our signs for a minute. So here are my signs. The only way to get a negative 15 is if I had a positive times a negative, or a negative times a positive. So let's look at the possible combinations here. We could have a plus 1 and a minus 15. Well, that would give us negative 14. Well, that doesn't work since we needed a positive 14. Suppose then we had a minus 1 plus 15. Well, that works because that does give us 14, and that's what we were looking for. So let's fill that in here. Now remember that we'll take these two numbers and we'll fill them in our remaining boxes. It does not matter which one we place it in, as long as we add an x at the end of each number. So right here I'm going to write a minus 1x and a plus 15x. So now let's look at this for a minute. What we're going to do is factor out the greatest common factor for the rows and then the columns. So looking only at the top row, x squared minus 1x. Well, the only thing that they have in common here is an x term. And again, the x with the smallest power is this one. So we'll pull out an x. And it stays positive since this box here is positive. Next, we'll pull out from the second row. So the greatest common factor here seems to be 15, since there's a 15 present in both. So we'll pull out a positive 15, since this number here is touching this box, and this box contains a positive value. Now, yet again, we will do the columns. So looking at the first column, x squared plus 15x. Well, the only thing I can pull out is an x term, and the x with the smallest power happens to be just an x, so I write an x here. Now looking at the next, I have minus 1x minus 15. Well, the only thing they have in common happens to be a negative 1, a 1. So again, this is negative, so minus 1, since it's touching this box and it contains a negative value inside. So now I have factored my trinomial here, and these are my sets of terms. So my answer becomes x minus 1 times x plus 15. Again, you can FOIL out your answer to double check that this multiplies to give you x squared plus 14x minus 15.